Now, this is a book that I had professionally printed, and I also pieced it together myself. So I will show you the book that I pasted together myself. And of course, the one that I had professionally printed, I had to send in. It was part of my graduate degree in graphic design. So that one's gone. I'll never see again, but it was designed in notebook style, and the printer asked me to produce the cover separately for the professional printing. So I went ahead and did that, and again, it all depends on where you're getting it printed. You need to talk to the printer. Communication with the printer is vital, especially when you're spending a lot of somebody else's money. Even if when you're spending a lot of your own money, you want to make sure it goes right. So you can see there's a spine on this one, and then of course this is the front page, and this is the back page. And so you can see how I placed this together. And of course it's a bleed, so these all bled off the page. Again, you'll see the 3D version here in a minute. The entire book inside is in a separate document. So of course now the way InDesign is set up, you can compile all this into one book, and just by doing the book template. It was quite different back then. I've been working in InDesign for many years, and they have changed around a lot of the features. So of course you can see my spreads here. I tried to make them, most of these are spreads that line up together. They're the monsters, dragons, sea monsters. Each one of them has a famous quote by someone, some famous author, politician coming on it. And notice the consistency. On the original master pages, I had all the consistency set up. You will see that at the end here. I'll show you how that works. So anyhow, the book was, I believe, 38 pages with a couple of pages in the back for taking notes on fact and fiction, which is which. So, of course, and all of it was written, too. So all of this was handwritten by me, this is a children's book, so it was asking children to filter through some of the bias, especially in, monster mysteries and that, what's fact and what's fiction. So we had a couple of blank pages at the back, which is really good when you're designing a book, because that way you can take out blank pages or add blank pages, as many as you want. So you will see how the book turned out in the 3D version. This, of course, is the flat version that I would submit to the printer. And notice that it's flipped because, of course, the back and the front are different. The cover is going to be printed separately because it's back to, it's facing the opposite way. So you want to make sure you check that print blank pages. This is how it turned out. You can see it's quite old, but the pages are still working, still going together. All of this was written to, you can see the overprint, that's for pages. If you had this professionally printed, you would have a better paper that you use. This was home done. But it gives you an idea, so it is worth it to print out your book and put it together. So you can see the consistency for yourself, how it works. This was designed to have note cards, so this was a book where children were encouraged to question any kind of mystery and not just sum it up. Here's another idea of something that you can do for your book. This is something I compiled for a class I was teaching many years ago, and they had to put together their own digital portfolio. So this is a compilation of some of the work that I've done when I was in school, way back when I was studying to be a graphic designer. So there's your cover page. And notice the master page, I had created the logo design for my website there. And then this is, the gray was the consistency. And here's where I'm going to plug in the art. So all the pages are going to look like this, including the cover. So, of course, this was the cover to my portfolio. And then inside pages that I put, notice the consistency thanks to the master pages. And all this involved was just plugging in my art. Here's another book that I had designed in another graphic design class, 50 Ways to See a Bird, where we had really to exercise many, many different views of the same subject. So this was just a spread. This was actually the cover for it. And this, I think, was one of the first pages in the book. So that's another book I designed. Here's an example of the book I had just got through showing you. And how, again, I just plugged it in. So I copied I did a screenshot of the pages, and then I just copied the spreads in here to show the variation of the spreads. So there's many, many ways that you can design. Just brainstorm. Come up with some thumbnails and brainstorm what kind of book you want. This book was designed. Notice it's in a different format too. I love this little square format here, 5 by 5. You can change your format if you want. And both of these were little booklets, so they were very small. And this was for architecture students, where they had to design something 3D and then redesign it in 3ds Max virtually. So this is the actual photographs of the actual house, spreads of the inside of the house, each level, each floor. And it's built to scale too, according to an architect's scale. So 1 inch would equal 1 foot, and so on and so forth. And of course, when I went to 3ds Max, which these are all screenshots taken from the virtual program 3ds Max, which makes things 3D, and you can control your lighting and stuff. So they had to do things both physically and then virtually, and then compile it in a book and be able to show people that they could do the lighting both ways and compile a 3D model of whatever it is that they were creating. So there's many ways you can design a children's book. You could design a 8-page resume of, what's something you're planning on sending to employers. I've seen that done, and it's very impressive. It's something different than your typical 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that you would send to an employer. So there's many ways that you can create this project. You're just required to design an 8-page book.